So I welcome you all to this important event, this hybrid event, titled Human Rights in the Context of Anti-Blasphemy and Anti-Apostasy Laws. It's the 5th of March. And my name is Mirjam Bossche. I'm working for Jubilee Campaign, a human rights organization which focuses on advancing religious freedom. And I will just give the microphone to the first speaker from ECLJ. His name is Thibault van den Bos. Thibault van den Bos is the Advocacy Officer for the Persecuted Christians at the European Centre for Law and Justice, the ECLJ. ECLJ is an NGO based in Strasbourg with an office in Pakistan. They have been promoting religious freedom for 25 years. I pass the microphone on to you, sir.
Thank you very much indeed. So I will talk about the anti-blasphemy and the anti-apostasy laws. They both go against fundamental human rights, which are freedom of expression and freedom of religion, including the freedom to change religion. Article 18 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights states that everyone shall have the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right shall include freedom to have or to adopt a religion or belief of his choice. As highlighted by the Human Rights Committee in its General Comment 22, this freedom to have or to adopt a religion necessarily includes the freedom to choose a religion, including the right to change one's current religion for another religion or adopt an atheist position, as well as the right to maintain one's religion. The Article 18 continues, "No one shall be subject to coercion which would impair this freedom to have or to adopt a religion or belief of his choice. Prohibited forms of coercion include the use or threat of physical force or criminal sanctions to compel believers or non-believers to adhere to certain beliefs or religious congregations, renounce their beliefs or religion, or convert. The freedom to abandon one's religion, whether to change it or not, is a well-established human right. However, regarding Islam, around 20 countries still have criminal provisions condemning apostasy. At least 10 countries impose the death penalty on apostate Muslims: Afghanistan, Iran, Malaysia, Maldives, Mauritania, Nigeria, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Yemen. In general, Muslims apostates face prison sentences, dissolution of marriages, loss of childcare rights, loss of inheritance, and social shame from their families and communities. Persecutions can include threats, verbal and physical attacks, expulsion from the family home, forced marriage or rape, and honor killings. This phenomenon extends even to Europe and not just in Muslim countries. This issue is still relatively unknown and widely underestimated, and the European Centre for Law and Justice is advocating for greater recognition and protection for former Muslims. I can't speak too much here on this issue, but we have a report on our website, eclj.org. Regarding freedom of expression, Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights states that everyone shall have the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally, in writing or in print, in the form of art, or through any other media of his choice. The Human Rights Committee, in its General Comment 34, states that laws prohibiting disrespect towards a religion or belief system, including blasphemy laws, are incompatible with the Covenant, except in certain circumstances outlined in Article 20, namely that any advocacy or national, racial, or religious hatred that constitutes incitement to discrimination, hostility, or violence shall be prohibited by law. The Rabat Plan of Action of 2013 even considers anti-blasphemy law counterproductive, since they may result in de facto censure of all interreligious or belief and intra-religious or belief dialogue, debate, and criticism, most of which could be constructive, healthy, and needed. Moreover, the right to freedom of religion or belief, as enshrined in relevant international legal standards, does not include the right to have a religion or a belief that is free from criticism or ridicule. There are two distinct approaches to that issues: the more Western liberal approach and that of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Since the late 90s, the OIC has introduced the concept of Islamophobia, defamation of Islam and defamation of religions, with the aim to protect Islam from criticism and mockery. In response, liberal institutions and government, primarily Western, have recommended the abolition of blasphemy laws and have even introduced new restrictions on speech that violates liberal values essential for social cohesion. This shift in legal norms does not signify a general secularization, but rather the profanation of the sacred and the sacralization of the profane. The influence of the 57 member states of the OIC at the United Nations General Assembly and the Human Rights Council allow them to push resolutions that protect Islam despite opposition from Western states, special rapporteurs, and the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. In July 2023, following Quran burnings in Sweden and Denmark, the Human Rights Council adopted a resolution condemning religious hate speech and acts, including recent desecrations of the Quran, calling on states to adopt repressive legislation in this regard. By misinterpreting the expression of rejection of a religion, specifically Islam, as religious hate speech, the Council is seen as accommodating religious extremists at the expense of human rights. In Pakistan, blasphemy laws against Islam are extensively abused by both society and the state. In August 2023, following allegations of Quran desecration, hundreds of extremist Muslims vandalized 87 Christian homes and 19 churches. Recently, less than 2 weeks ago, a woman was threatened by about 200 people for wearing a dress with Arabic inscription, which actually read Helwa, which means beautiful, mistakenly believed to be from the Quran. In Pakistan, unproven allegations of blasphemy can lead to expropriation, murder, lynching, or simply settling personal scores with Christian neighbors. After this legal overview, I will now turn to the witnesses to provide further concrete cases. Thank you very much.
I want to continue to Mr. John Ghanim, who is sitting left from me. John was born as a Muslim in Yemen. By the end of 2017, he met Jesus Christ, left Islam, and was called to be an evangelist. He now leads his own ministry on social media as Christian influencer, reaching so many people around the world for Christ. In the same time, he receives so many death threats daily while he lives in exile.
As he said, I am a Yemeni and I know it's a surprise for you. And my name is John. I was born and raised into a Muslim family in Yemen. And my family taught me how to read, how to pray, how to read Quran. And in 2014, we went to Mecca. I was doubtful and I went with my family to Mecca to discover more about Allah and God. And I found out that the Muslims, around the black box, that was not from God. And according to Article 18, I have right to give up my faith. I have right to choose whatever I want. I have right to say I am not a Muslim anymore. So in secret way, that time, 2014, I gave up Islam in front of Mecca. And after that, went back to Yemen secretly. I stayed agnostic for 3 years, and it was the most horrible 3 years in my life. And I ended up, I had to leave Yemen because I couldn't stay whole my life pretending that I am not a Muslim, but from the outside, I am a Muslim. So I left Yemen, and after that, I traveled to many countries in that I've been a refugee camp, and there I met Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ changed my life upside down. And I started to look on social media about Yemeni Christians. I couldn't find any. So God gave me desire to share to my people about this, the God of love, the God of the Bible. I started to share on social media. First, when my family and my village heard that I'm a Christian, the imam in my village said fatwa, and they divorced my wife from me, and they take away my daughters. And my mother, she was broken, my family, even the community started to put pressure on my family. And after that, it wasn't easy for me. So, but I continue because I am in love with Jesus, so I continue to believe in him. And after that, I continue to share videos, and my videos gone viral on TikToks, Facebook, and Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. Millions of people saw my videos. I started to receive persecution every day, even from India, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh. They do videos against me. I have the right to share my faith. I have the right as Yemeni to say I am Yemeni Christian. So today, dear journalists, dear people, I'd love you to stand with Yemeni Christians. We exist. We are here. There is many Yemenis. They are Christian, but in secret, they can't share their faith, because if they share their faith, they will be brought to death. So stand with us. Be with us. I urge you, I appeal to you that to stand with the Yemenis. And you know, one solution I think in Yemen will be the best in Yemen if they separate separate religion from the state. That's the best solution in Yemen, because as you say always when you hear about Yemen, everything horrible about Yemen, but Yemen, it's a beautiful country. And yeah, we have the right, I have the right to go back to Yemen and to start my own churches and Christian churches there. So if you support us, stand with us, speak for us, will be great. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, John, for your statement. I want to continue to Joseph. Joseph is from Pakistan. His sister spent 8 years in prison due to the blasphemy laws. He was finally released after international pressure. And he is, advocate for religious freedom worldwide.
Thank you very much, Mirjam, and Jubilee Campaign for holding this precious event. Before I start to address blasphemy and apostasy laws, I would like to honor the 13th anniversary of Shahbaz Bhatti's martyrdom, commemorating his fight for religious freedom, calling for reforms in blasphemy laws in Pakistan. Now I would like to start with the apostasy laws. Pakistan's laws do not officially criminalize apostasy laws. In practice, the government of Pakistan has made it impossible for Muslims to change their religious status. The institute which issues the identity documents is called NADRA. NADRA has official policy which is hanged outside of every NADRA building in Pakistan that Muslims cannot change their religious status. You can never leave Islam. That direct put restrictions on religious freedom or belief in Pakistan. In that sense, there is absolutely no religious freedom in Pakistan. Even though Pakistan does not officially have a law criminalizing leaving Islam, as apostates, I would like every charge under the blasphemy laws which is carried a death sentence. If someone who openly state that I left Islam, Muslim will widely see that it's insult to offense against their religion, and they would receive wide support, including from the police and official departments who are supposed to defend or protect him, will charge him with the blasphemy, which carries death penalty in Pakistan. Another point of view is to make some apostatists have a lot of difficulty to obtain their national identity card officially. Of course, when they go to NADRA office, which issue actually an identity card, they put a restriction and they At that point, they say, here you cannot actually make a new national identity cards. So it is not only apostates, a person who convert from Islam to any other religion or leave Islam, also their children, when they go to, for example, the places where they have to register their children for the national identity card, for the national ID card or birth certificate, to start to register their children, unfortunately, because their parents do not have any national status in the country, they cannot register their children in the Nadra building. That's why the children cannot start normal life. Children cannot go to school. They cannot open their bank account. They cannot start their normal life like education, bank account, or go to hospitals, or start a job somewhere. And these restrictions and difficulties are for everyone, those who actually leave Islam and convert to any other religion. Now I would like to continue on the topic of blasphemy. At least 2,449 persons have been allegedly committed blasphemy between 2019, 87, and 2003. And 94% have been killed in connection with alleged blasphemy between 2019, 94, and 2023. Hundreds of people booked every year under the Prevention of Electronic Crime Act and alleged blasphemous actions, which may include sending pro-lifing, texting message, liking or disliking on social media like Facebook or WhatsApp. You share any Arabic word which you don't understand what actually means, and you like on Facebook. Other people can say, actually, this was the blasphemous text, and you have liked on Facebook, and that's why you have committed blasphemy, and the cybercrime will charge you under the section of this electronic with the blasphemy charges, which carries death penalty in Pakistan. 2023 marked the highest number of alleged blasphemy accusations per person, which is 329 people who have been charged with blasphemy, according to the data collected by the Center for Social Justice. And including those who are blasphemy often threatened. And once somebody is accused for blasphemy, actually it's already presumed as guilty before even come to the court, even commence a trial. That person is already presumed as guilty, which jeopardizes the right to a fair trial, and of course, legal due process, which contributes in a social prejudice. Often lawyers, lower courts, police, judges, who are actually in rural areas, are biased or under the threat of mob or Islamic extremist Muslims, therefore, which lead to unfair investigations and, of course, trial in the court. Disturbingly, many individuals face torture and extra, of course, before they confess in the police stations, many individuals face torture to confess blasphemy, which they have never actually committed. Even being acquitted, individuals are stigmatized and threatened as guilty by the society, leading to ongoing threats and danger to their lives. Someone who is actually acquitted even by the court cannot freely live in Pakistan. Even court that freed that person, society or individuals actually didn't free that person. In their mind, that is continue a blasphemer, and this person can be lynched, can be threatened, can be killed by the society. That means somebody who is accused, freed, continue face death threats, unfortunately, in my country, Pakistan. Even after being acquitted, individuals, extremist ideology in Pakistan, normally Islamic believes killing a blasphemer or an apostate actually who left Islam is an insult, and killing that person is give them a redeem or bring them directly to paradise, or which lead to, of course, hostility, mob violence, lynching in Pakistan. I hope today our voice will bring hope to reform blasphemy laws in Pakistan and bring change with the upcoming new government so that people can have relief. We do have some of the testimonies which we are going to see later.
I want to introduce Tehmina Arora. She's the founding trustee of ADF India and the director of Advocacy for Asia for ADF International. And she has played a pivotal role in championing the cause of religious freedom and fighting against discriminatory laws and policies. In 2018, Arora was awarded the Champion of Human Rights Award by the Delhi Minority Commission for her services to the community. Thank you, Tehmina, for coming.
The focus of my presentation will be laws that restrict free practice of one's faith in South and Southeast Asia. The first set of laws that I would like to look at are the anti-conversion laws. Sadly, they are made popular by their frequent misuse in India. These laws are frequently used to target religious minorities. The provisions of the laws are vague and often penalize the free profession and practice of one's faith. They require permission to be sought from the government before your religious conversion is deemed to be valid. To give you a recent example, in September 2022, a group of 5 women were arrested as they celebrated a birthday party. These women had been invited to one person's home. The cake, the birthday celebrations, the presents that were lying out there were all seen as inducement, which is prohibited under the Act. The women were then sent by a mob to the local police station where they were arrested. They spent 5 weeks in prison. Sadly, their case is still ongoing, all because of a birthday party. This year alone, in 2023 alone, over 420 people were similarly arrested in over 180 cases under the anti-conversion laws in India. Hundreds of Christians have been arrested and subjected to months of illegal detention and harassment, often at the hands of the police and the local governments, for running hospitals, tuition centers, distributing food to the poor, handing out blankets, a cup of tea, notebooks and pencils, all have been seen as inducement. In a recent judgment, the court called out the police for failing to uphold fundamental rights. The court noted that the mere distribution of Bibles does not constitute an attempt to convert. The registering of a complaint at the behest of a third party, which is often under these acts, is not valid as per the law. However, in spite of these observations, the anti-conversion laws continue to proliferate not only in the subcontinent of India, but also in the region. Pastor Keshav, who was due to join us on this panel, has been convicted and sentenced to 1 year imprisonment for sharing his faith in Nepal. There is no accusation that he used physical force, but his only fault was that he distributed tracts or Christian literature and prayed for those who were ill at their request. Article 26(1) of the Constitution of Nepal clearly states that each person shall be free to profess, practice, and preserve his or her religion according to their faith. But what Article 1 or Clause 1 of Article 26 gives, a later clause takes away. Article 26 of the Constitution states that no person shall act or make others act in a manner which is contrary to public health, decency, and morality, or behave or act or make others to act in so as to disturb public law and order, or to convert a person of one religion to another religion, or disturb the religion of other people. Under this vague and very open-ended clause of the Constitution, several people continue to be targeted. This has also been brought into their penal code. There is another case pending before the Supreme Court of Nepal, where 2 Christians have appealed their conviction under the penal code for forcible conversion, for merely hosting, with due permission of their families, several destitute children in a shelter home where they were provided education and nourishment. The only reason for their conviction is their religious beliefs, were the religious beliefs of those running the shelter home. Sadly, similar provisions also exist in Bhutan and in Myanmar. I would also like to highlight an issue that has been raised by Joseph about identity cards. These are administrative laws or policies that restrict how people can convert. I point to Malaysia, where religious freedom is protected in the constitution, for instance. However, communities must ensure that their identity cards align with their faith. However, administrative processes are slow and tedious. So while change is possible, the administrative process prevents it. To give you an example from Malaysia, a father converted to Islam when the applicant with a child, in this particular case, was a minor. While receiving the identity card, the religious status from Christianity had been changed to Islam, even though the child himself had not taken any or recited the kalma or accepted the Islamic faith. The mother was opposed to the conversion. This is often done in matrimonial disputes so as to gain custody of the children. However, in spite of all of this, this person has now spent 11 years trying to get this remedied in Malaysia. They are sadly at the point of giving up. Administrative processes being used to restrict one's conversion. We've heard about the blasphemy provisions, and I will not go into that, but it is frightening to note that according to the Pew Research Center, 79 countries out of the 198 studied, 40% had blasphemy laws. These are being included even in many Western nations. We are looking at a bill before Ireland at the moment where material on your phone, things that you could possibly distribute, could be seen as problematic. Jokes that have not yet been shared, they may be inappropriate, but they have not yet been shared, could lead to imprisonment. I will end now. I know we are short on time, but looking forward to questions subsequently.
I want to continue to our next online speaker, who is Muhammed. Muhammad Syed, I hope I pronounced it correctly. Muhammad Syed is a human rights activist, writer, and speaker. He is the founder and president of Ex-Muslims of North America, the first ex-Muslim advocacy and community building organization in North America. Muhammad has been a human rights activist for this past decade, with a focus on efforts to normalize religious dissent and promote acceptance of secularism in Muslim communities. Thank you, Muhammad.
I'll start off by citing from the UN Declaration of Human Rights, Article 18. I quote, "Everyone has a right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in community with others." Compare that with the words of Muhammad. "Whoever changes his Islamic religion, kill him." Muhammad's words reflect the consensus of classical Islamic literature and the majoritarian view among Muslims today, as demonstrated by the widespread implementation of the death penalty and criminalization of apostasy. Too often, we avoid the crux of the issue, that is, aspects of pre-modern religions taken verbatim are incompatible with the modern consensus of human rights. A human rights consensus that even many deeply devout religious individuals across religions agree with. To cite the most stark example, human slavery is condoned by all major faiths, but looked upon as a horrific abomination by nearly all individuals alive today. To quote Dr. Kessia Ali, a professor of religion at Boston University and a convert to Islam, "It is one thing for committed religious thinkers to insist that scripture must always and everywhere apply literally, but it is ludicrous for objective scholars to do so. Anyone making the argument about biblical slavery would be ridiculed." According to a 2013 Pew survey, 64% of those in Pakistan and 63% of those in Egypt and majorities in many other Muslim countries support the death penalty for apostasy. Again, that's 64% in Pakistan, 63% in Egypt. This panel's topic is about the human dignity of apostates. I do not believe that human dignity we desire is possible until Muslims honestly grapple with the complexity of their faith and the discordance between universal human rights principles and their desire to uphold Muhammad's words. International pressure can only yield action to the extent local sentiments will allow. After a decade of imprisonment and intense international efforts, when Asia Bibi, a Christian victim of blasphemy laws in Pakistan, was finally released, there were widespread protests across the nation, with millions participating. Soon after, Professor Khalid Hamid was killed by his own student on an accusation of blasphemy. the students cited the release of Asia Bibi and proudly stated that if the government will not act, Muslims will defend their faith themselves. In such an environment, how do we proceed? According to the same Pew survey, only 14% of Pakistani Muslims believe there can be multiple interpretations of religious law. But according to another Pew survey from 2017, 52% of American Muslims believe that traditional understandings of Islam need to be reinterpreted. I believe that the most potent path forward is to recruit these liberal Muslims who are already converts to the modern human rights consensus. You may ask, why is it that we don't see these Western Muslims speaking out against the intolerance enshrined in the laws of Muslim countries and the horrors committed in the name of their faith? We sent a team to conduct interviews at the largest US gathering of Muslims, and the vast majority of Muslims we spoke to supported the human rights of those that left Islam, and were incredulous at the abuses committed in support of their religion. One Egyptian American woman stated that the issue wasn't her cross to bear. She was an American where freedom of religion is enshrined, and that I quote, Coptics live freely within her country. She was referring to Egypt. Upon learning of the treatment of apostates, she admitted to being ignorant of the actual state of affairs. The same ignorance was demonstrated repeatedly by those we spoke with. Unfortunately, we often participate in the erasure of the facts, the erasure of history, and the erasure of a millennia-long struggle against religious oppression, in service of viewing Islam through a gentle lens that is centered around Western politics. By not making the link between religious literalism, Orthodox Islam, and our suffering explicit, we grant Muslims that must be standing beside us a license to turn away and to maintain a comfortable cognitive dissonance. It is not our responsibility to ease their burden, but force them to contend with the complexity of their religion and stand up for universal human rights that they actually do agree with. Thank you.
I want to continue to another speaker online, whose name is Kola, from Nigeria. Kola Alapinni is an international human rights lawyer from Nigeria. He is the recipient of the 2024 International Religious Freedom Award, issued by the State Department of the United States. He is a leading defense counsel in 2 prominent blasphemy cases in Kano, northern Nigeria. Thank you, Kola, for being here with us online today.
Thank you very much for having me. As you know, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've had a huge crackdown on people who want to express freedom of religion in northern Nigeria, or even on free speech generally. We saw what happened to the humanist Mubarak Bala, who was arrested and detained for 3 years without any trial. And he caved in eventually. His wife had just given birth. He had not seen his baby for almost a year. And eventually, when the matter came up in court, he decided to plead guilty, thinking he had spent enough time in detention and he would be released to go home. He was in for a shocker because he was sentenced to 24 years imprisonment. I'm pleased to let you know that an appeal has been heard in the last week of February, challenging this conviction. And the appeal court is a federal court, and they're duty bound to deliver a decision within the next 3 months. So hopefully that will be a test on how serious we are in Nigeria in upholding the Constitution. You're also aware of the lady, Deborah Samuel Yakubu, who was lynched by her friends and classmates at the College of Education in Sokoto State. Nobody was tried. There were 2 arrests. Eventually, they were let go because the police did not prosecute diligently. And this is usually one of the problems which you have in northern Nigeria. People who are victims of blasphemy themselves don't get anybody to defend them, whereas the people who perpetrate the evil usually have tremendous support from the state or state actors. Eventually, our family had to be relocated to southern Nigeria in Port Harcourt, and the case has gone into limbo. There was a woman, a mother of 5, in Bossche State in northeastern Nigeria. Her name is Rhoda Chatao. She complained about this on Facebook, that the perpetrators of murder have actually walked away without anything being done to them. She was arrested. It was an attempt to gag her and stifle her. She was taken away from her family and spent months in the prison without being tried. Eventually, when there was a large outcry, she was quietly released.
Recording in progress.
Just before Christmas last year. A couple of weeks ago, we saw something like that again. A Fulani convert, his name is Evangelist Musa, who had converted to Christianity, was arrested on false charges, quietly detained by the police. There was a lot of outcry on Twitter, Facebook, and eventually it was released quietly. So whenever these arrests go on, the authorities just expect you to keep quiet and everything just goes into abeyance. But once there's a fierce resistance online and they know that the whole world is watching them, eventually they just find a way of releasing you. You're not charged to court, and they just wish everything disappears. And this is what bullies do, you know. They until you confront them robustly, they tend to trample on you and behave as if you don't have any rights. Of course, you are aware of the case of Bashir, a teenager who was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. He was sentenced without a lawyer. So we challenged it and were able to get himself free completely. And there is, of course, the renowned Kano singer, prisoner of conscience, Yahya Sharif Aminu, who was sentenced to death. We've had 2 appeals. Along the line, they tried to, the judges tried to say that Section 10 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was not important, where Section 10 says that the government, either the state or federal, must not adopt any religion. We submitted to the courts that the practice of Sharia in northern Nigeria in its present state is an adoption of religion, and we won. Right now we're at the Supreme Court, hoping for a date quickly. Now that we have a full court, for the first time in history, we have 21 judges sitting at the Supreme Court now. So we hope to get a date very soon. And we're challenging the constitutionality of the Sharia law as practiced in northern Nigeria. We're not saying that we cannot practice Islamic law in northern Nigeria. We are saying that Nigeria has international obligations, which we must respect. Therefore, we cannot have it in the laws in northern Nigeria that says you must stone people to death, must flog people 20 lashes or 40 lashes if they commit an offense, or you must chop off people's limbs. So this is where we are right now. Thank you very much.
We have one final speaker, Mr. Musheer. He is a Christian convert pastor and former religious prisoner of conscience of 4 years in Yemen at the hands of Houthi authorities. He was released after 4 years. His release was in 2021. He will be joining us virtually, so I hope the system works. Mr. Musheer?
اليمن بعد عام 2015 سيطرت جماعة الحوثي على الحكومة على الدولة في انقلابها.
Oh, so it's channel 2. Channel 2.
وسقطت
Yes, it's channel 2.
وأصبحت اليمن مقسمة بيد جماعات مختلفة، ولكن يجمع هذه الجماعات جميعا هو أنها متشددة دينيا أو متطرفة دينيا. كما أن الدستور الجمهورية اليمنية دستور اليمن ينص على أن ينص على أن الشريعة الإسلامية هي مصدر التشريع والقوانين، وبالتالي فإنه القوانين الصادرة عن هذا الدستور والقوانين الدستورية هي تجرم أي شخص يعتنق غير الإسلام فيعتبر مرتد، وعقوبة الردة هي الإعدام. وبالتالي إن كل الجماعات التي تحكم الآن في داخل اليمن هي لديها هذه المرة، مما خلق صعوبة قوية جدا للأقليات سواء اليهودية أو المسيحية أو البهائية أو غيرها. فهم عادة معرضون للسجن إن لم يكن للموت. كما أن هناك كمان صعوبات اجتماعية. الصعوبات الاجتماعية هذه هي ناتجة عن الموروث الديني، موروث الشريعة الإسلامية أو الدينية في اليمن، ويتبناه أبناء المجتمع، فيعتبر كل شخص يخرج من الإسلام ويعتنق أي دين آخر أو ملة أخرى يعتبروه عدو ويعتبروه كافر ومرتد، والجميع يحاول أنه يطبق عقيدته اللي هي العقيدة اللي موجودة في الشريعة الإسلامية، سواء عن طريق أجهزة وجهات قانونية أو خارج إطار القانون، أو في كلا الحالتين الخارج من الإسلام هو يعني مقتول هنا أو مقتول هناك لا جدال. الحكومة الشرعية التي معترف بها بالعالم للأسف ضعيفة جدا، وليس لديها أي قدرة على اتخاذ قرارات، وليس لديها أي قدرة على حماية سواء الأقليات أو أي فصيل من فصائل الناس، أو حتى على حماية أنفسهم كحكومة. فاقدين هذا. ناهيك عن ذلك غير ذلك أنه مسيطر على الحكومة الشرعية المعترف بها، مسيطر الفكر الراديكالي، فكر الجماعات الدينية المتطرفة، وهذا يمنع الحكومة أن تتعاطى مع أي أقليات بشكل إيجابي. عندما تقدمنا إلى الحكومة نطلب الترخيص المجلس الأقليات الوطني، لم تستطع الحكومة أو لحد إلى الآن هي رافضة تعطي الترخيص أو التصريح بالعمل، وبدون إدراك الأسباب، يعني بدون ما يعطونا أسباب ليش يعني. والكل كل مسؤول في الحكومة من أصغر وزير إلى أكبر مسؤول في الحكومة يتهرب من الموضوع، لأنه أساساً غالبية أفراد الحكومة هم ناس جايين من أحزاب دينية متشددة ومتأثرين بالموروث الديني اللي هي الشريعة الإسلامية، وبالتالي ما يقدروش يخرجوا عن الإجماع أو الإجماع القطيع المتواجد. كما أنه هناك كمان في صعوبات موجودة في المجتمع متواجدة بالجانب التعليمي. المناهج الدينية، المناهج التعليمية في اليمن هي تكرس ثقافة رفض الآخر وكراهية الآخر وعدم القبول بالآخر بشكل قوي جدا. فهي بالمناهج تماما المتواجدة من الصفوف الأولى حتى القاعدة كلها تحاول تكريس تكفير المرتد أو الخارج من الإسلام، وهذا شق. الشق الثالث هو الخطاب الديني الذي تتبناه أي مؤسسة الرسمية الدينية اللي هي وزارة الأوقاف والإرشاد التي تدير المساجد والجوامع، أو الخطاب الديني الخارج من منابر المساجد. كله خطاب يتماهى مع رفض الآخر ويرفض الآخر ويكفر الآخر. وفي حالة وصل في القوانين المعمولة في الحكومة اليمنية أن المرتد ليس له حق الإرث إذا كان له أموال تؤخذ، وليس له حق يعني الوصول إلى أي منصب، يحرم عليه الترشح إلى أي منصب في المجالس المحلية أو البرلمان أو رئاسة الحكومة أو حتى عمل. وهذا كان رسمي في بلدنا. الآن الصعوبات أكثر، إنه أصبح امتداد أمني شديد جدا، وهذا يجعل الناس الذين هم خارجين من الإسلام عرضة للقتل بطريقة أو أخرى. البلد محتاجة، بلادنا محتاجة إلى إنه الأمم المتحدة، المنظمات العالمية، منظمات حقوق الإنسان، الدول التي تمسك بملف اليمن يجب عليها أنها تضغط على الحكومة لتغيير الدستور أساساً. الدستور يتغير أولاً وبعد ذلك قد يكون في هناك أشياء إيجابية. شكراً لكم.
Okay, that was our last. Actually, that was our last speaker. We have 2 minutes left. We can have one question from the audience. Yes, sir.
That's good. Yeah. Hi, everyone. It was an interesting meeting, some conference. I have a question to the gentleman. I belong to the Ahmadiyya community. I'm also from Pakistan. To the point, I'm coming to the point, what you expect from the civil society or the member states about the blasphemy law in Pakistan? Do you have any idea? You can say, here it is. So it should, we work on that.
Don't say it. Let him answer.
Yes. Actually, when it comes to blasphemy laws and apostasy, actually, it's good that Pakistan does not have any apostasy laws, but Nadra government office put restriction on religious freedom. And a blasphemy is the same, because apostasy is accused of blasphemy. The civil societies, NGOs, the government need to understand the abuse of blasphemy laws. And they really, as I said, 329 cases, highest number has been registered and allegedly accused people in Pakistan. If the government and civil society can raise the misuse of blasphemy laws, reforms blasphemy laws, there will be already change. There will be already less violence. There will be already less lynching. And we have the example, the lynching of Priyantha Kumar. We have the example of the burning of 26 churches, hundreds of houses. Simply somebody accused 2 Christians that they defamed the pages of Quran, and the entire society, village, even the entire society in the area had to face the consequences. And the perpetrators of that are scot-free. Unfortunately, even the government of Pakistan misinformed, investigated, which is rejected by the Chief Justice of Pakistan, saying the report is biased, is discriminatory, it is not right, meaning the state actors need to prosecute the perpetrators of the abuse of blasphemy laws. There will be change next year, a little bit.
How can we encourage OIC, primarily states or states who support the criminalization of blasphemy? How can we, especially many of you who have come from a former background where you first supported these laws, maybe, how can you encourage people to leave these laws? I mean, of course, human rights. Anyways, I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Who wants to take? Tehmina wants to take up the question. Okay.
Sadly, we see that laws like the blasphemy provisions, you see the anti-conversion laws, every time you have laws like this that restrict religious practice, I mean, even if you think about the blasphemy laws in Pakistan, you think about how they were brought in to restrict blasphemy. And what has it resulted in? Increased number of blasphemy cases, increased violence. You've seen this in the anti-conversion laws. The argument made is that if you are able to restrict forcible conversion, it will lead to less mob violence. Actually, on the contrary, it leads to more mob violence, because now you are creating a provision which declares often very vague aspects of one's faith as criminal suspect, coloring them with, or allowing rather communities to view them negatively. So blasphemy laws, anti-conversion laws, apostasy laws allow for the criminalization of certain aspects and then lead to the violence. The Pew Forum has done research on this for many years, linking how government restrictions, as they increase, it also leads to social hostilities. Unfortunately, these laws, as they proliferate, will also lead to violence.